So in today's video, I'm showcasing off the co-op mod by Deadpool XYZ. Now before I begin the video, I just want to clarify a few things about this mod. 1. It is not bully multiplayer. This is not like the bully multiplayer where you can connect to servers and play with people. This is a co-op multiplayer mod, meaning you'll have to have somebody who actually wants to play bully with you in the same room as you. Secondly, you will need to have either a spare controller, or, well, if you are using the controller on bully, the keyboard and mouse, which hopefully you do have. Otherwise this mod will not work. I don't know if it will work with 2 controllers, I haven't tried. And thirdly, if you are going to use this mod, I just want to mention that if you are doing missions that involve Jimmy changing outfits, your character will glitch out. It won't crash the game necessarily, but it will glitch out. With that out of the way, let's get straight onto the video. Now once you load bully up, the game will fade to a black screen. Don't worry, your game hasn't crashed or anything. I know it looks like it has, but it hasn't. It's just loading up the multiplayer mode. Now once it's finished loading, you'll see 2 Jimmys stand in front of the school gate. This is your character select screen. To select your character, just press left and right on the D-pad or the analog stick. And for the keyboard and mouse user, it's A, D and the left and right arrow keys. And yes, you can be anybody you want in this mode. You can be Gary Smith and Jimmy Hopkins, you can be Darby Harrington and Johnny Vincent, you can be Mr. Burton and Pedro. You can be anybody you want. You can even be a dog if you really want to. Although all characters will be using Jimmy's default animations, so you won't get to use Johnny Vincent's fighting style or any of the prep moves. So once you're done selecting your character, for the controller user, all you have to do is press A. For the keyboard and mouse user, you press R. Now obviously for this you can change this in the control settings if you don't like it. I mean, me personally, I'm sticking to the default controls for this. Now once you've both chosen your characters, you will get asked if you actually want to enable friendly fire mode. This is if you two want to fight each other or not. You don't have to, but you can do if you really want to. If it's disabled, that means you can throw firecrackers when your mate's in the middle of a fight and you won't damage them. Now once that's done, you can play bully as normal. However, you will realise that the camera angle is, well, it's quite odd. It's sort of fixated to both you and your partner. This is very similar to the camera angle used in the GTA San Andreas multiplayer that was on the PlayStation 2. However, only player 1 can control the camera. So if say like player 2 decides they want to go, say, to the boys' dorm, while player 1 just wants to fight people, you know, in front of the academy, then obviously player 1 will need to keep the camera in angle. In angle? You know what I mean. Now one of the best things about this mod is you can actually do missions together. However, player 2 cannot progress the missions for player 1 unless the mission objective is to knock people out. For example, in the mission This Is Your School, in the first part of the mission when you have to pick Russell's locker, player 2 cannot actually do this, only player 1 can. And it's a similar story for later on in the mission when you have to get Eunice's chocolate back from Konstantinos. Player 2 cannot pick the chocolate up, nor can they pay him. They can knock him out, but they can't pick up the chocolate and progress the mission. So only player 1 can do this stuff. Another downside to this is the cutscenes are really glitched. It doesn't crash your game, it's just the camera angles seem to be strangely way out of place. It seems to stay locked, if you know what I mean.
Eating time at the zoo. Okay, here's the deal. Over there we got the nerds. Of course, they're complete social outcasts.
They look pretty harmless.
They're actually sneaky bastards.
I also just want to point out as well, some missions like fighting Johnny Vincent, you know, when you have to chase him on a bike races, go-kart races, anything that involves Jimmy being on a vehicle for the majority of the mission, might not actually work. I haven't tried it out, but it's just a warning just in case. Well, after recording this part, I went back into Bully and started up a bike race with the co-op mode on, and this was the result.
We're gonna win because we're better.
So going to be put
Remember,
back in your toy
a wheel
box.
ain't a wheel without all its spokes.
So yeah, it's not exactly ideal to be doing bike races or anything like that with co-op mode on. I'm pretty sure the same goes for missions like fighting Johnny Vincent, at least the first part of it anyway. Now some of you may notice that during that part, Zoe kept punching randomly. Now I believe this is actually a glitch with bikes itself, because every time I hopped on a bike in co-op mode, player 2 just could not move. Every time they moved, they'd automatically throw a punch no matter what weapon they had equipped. So I'm going to say that's a bug. Obviously if Deadpool's watching this and he knows or something like that, then feel free to correct me in the comment section below. However, there is one workaround on this. If you press down on the D-pad, you can swap between cameras. You can have panoramic, which is basically you and your partner on screen. You can press down once to have the camera locked just to player 1, and press down again to have the camera locked to just player 2. Now obviously there's ups and downsides to doing this, like obviously if you're in player 1 mode you can't see where player 2 is, if you're in player 2 mode you can't see where player 1 is, and if you're in panoramic mode then obviously you'll have that weird glitch that just happened to me on screen. So unless the second player doesn't mind, like, you know, waiting a couple of minutes while you do your races, then it might not exactly be ideal for this either. Now speaking of vehicles, you sadly cannot have 2 people on one bike. I tried this, and yeah, so basically vehicles are broken, unless of course you have both players on one bike. Both players on one bike? Both players on separate bikes. Another thing that works is classes. You can still do classes and all that perfectly fine. However, the camera angle will still be glitched out then, like you're seeing on screen now.
Take care to follow my instructions precisely, as we will be working with volatile chemicals today. Fascinating, isn't it?
And I know I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but if player 1 is not playing as Jimmy, and they start up a mission, which involves Jimmy changing outfits, the game won't crash, but Jimmy will be,
Hey, what's going
well, take a look for yourself. If you choose to play as a girl using this mod, you still cannot be grabbed. If the other player tries to grab you, the character will automatically hit them in the balls, even if they've got no balls. So use this to your advantage if you want to have a fight with somebody. Now some of you may have noticed that on the bottom of the screen it constantly says no weapons. This is player 2's weapon wheel. Now understandably Deadpool didn't code in a weapon wheel for player 2, so he just uses strings at the bottom that tells the players whatever the hell player 2's got at the moment. Now from my knowledge, player 2 will have every single weapon in the game. You know, from bottle rockets, spud guns and all that. So if you are going to fight each other, it's probably best not to piss somebody off too much if they've got a spud gun and you haven't in chapter 1. So here's a small clip of Otto fighting Mr. Burton. Don't ask why, I just thought it'd be funny to put this in. So how exactly do you end multiplayer mode? You know, you want to go back to single player or something like that. The answer is, just get busted or knocked out or anything like that. It's that simple. However, next time you load up a save game, it will automatically go back to multiplayer mode. If you want to end this completely, you need to have a backup of your scripts image file, because this mod replaces the scripts image and the scripts.dir file in your scripts folder. Now, if you actually didn't back these up, then sadly you're stuck in multiplayer mode for as long as possible, unless you can find a backup. If you did make a backup, all you got to do is just delete scripts.image, scripts.dir, and then just replace them with the backups. And, you know, call them scripts.image and scripts.dir, otherwise the game's going to crash again. So time for my final thoughts on the mod. What do I actually think of it? Honestly, I think it's one of the best mods I've actually seen for Bully. I mean, like, you know, I've been a member of the Bully community for a long time now, and I've seen all kinds of mods. Some good, some bad. And honestly, this is probably one of the best mods I've ever actually seen, because it's not so much generic like, here's a custom reskin, or here's like a custom mission. I'm not saying those are bad mods, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, you know, those are probably the only 2 mods we've got for Bully at the moment. But this actually adds an entirely new feature to the game. And honestly, it's one of those features that I believe Rockstar should have definitely put in at the beginning of the game. Well, maybe not the beginning, but, you know. And honestly, it's much better than the multiplayer mode they've got on the Xbox 360 and the Nintendo Wii. And certainly better than the ones they've got on iOS and Android, if you can even call that multiplayer. So honestly, Deadpool, you've done an amazing job here, and this is why people love your work. You actually bring new stuff to Bully. Now hopefully my comments weren't taken out of context then, because like I said, there are some really good custom missions and custom reskins out there. But, you know, compared to what Deadpool's made here, this actually brings an entirely new feature to Bully, and adds a new way of actually playing the game. If you have any friends that actually want to play it, of course, unlike me. So honestly, I rate this mod 9 out of 10. The only issues I've got with it are just some camera glitches, which obviously aren't really Deadpool's fault. And, you know, some of the game glitches as well, like, you know, your character morphing into some weird Jimmy hybrid thing, you know, like I showed earlier in the video. So if you have any friends that love to play Bully, and you know, you want to play Bully co-op, definitely try out this mod. I really recommend it. With that being said, thank you for watching, have a nice day. The download link to this should be in the description below. And yeah, this video is made on Halloween, so happy Halloween. That part's just going to be outdated though by the time this video is like a week old.